Okay, so you should try these problems on your own before I go through them with you. Pause the video and come back, maybe. So looking at the first one, first we're going to look at our coefficient 12 and 15. What factors do 12 and 15 have in common? 12 could be 6 times 2. It could be 3 times 4. It could also be 4 times 3. And 12 times 1. And those are my factors of 12. 15 is 3 times 5. Those are prime, or 15 times 1. So 6 times 2, that's not going to work, but 3 times 4 and 3 times 5. So we have a 3 that we can pull out. So we're going to use our 3. And then x squared and x, well, they both have one x in common, or an x in common. So we're going to pull one of those out as well. So 3x. And we could break that down, right? X times x and x, they both have the x in common. Anyway, so 3x goes on the outside. 3x times what? Well, here's my other factor for the 12 would be 4. So we have a 4. And we want an x squared. We're multiplying by an x, so we just need another x. And then our other factor was 5. So 5 goes right there. We already have the x, and so that would be all there is to that one. 3x times 4x minus 5. Okay, for the green one, it looks really complex and ugly. We're just going through the same process. Okay, so first of all, coefficients. We have 24, 30, and 12. So 24 is the same thing as 6 times 3. It's also, 6 times 4. It's 8 times 3. 12 times 2. That might be it. 24 times 1. We'll start with that and see if we get any further. 30 is 15 times 2, or 6 times 5, and 3 times 10. 12 is 6 times 2, 3 times 4, 12 times 1. We have a 6 in each of these, and that's going to be my greatest common multiple. There are others. These are all even. 2 goes into all of them, but 6 is going to be the largest number that I can pull out, right? So I'm going to pull out a 6. I'm going to set that aside over here, 6. And now let's look at our x term. So x term, we have x cubed, x squared, and x squared. So x squared is common to 2 of them. X cubed is x squared times x, so we can pull out an x squared out of all of them. For our y value, y squared, y cubed, and y to the 4th. So y squared times y would be y cubed times y would be y to the 4th. We can pull out a y squared out of the whole thing. Sorry. And okay, so now we're just going to go back through and put in the parentheses everything that we would need to get back to where we started. So 6 times 4 is 24, so we need a 4 there. We have an x squared, but we need an x cubed, so we're going to put an x in. And we have a y squared, we have a y squared, so we're good for that one. So 4x, oops, we don't want a plus because it's a minus. 6, my pen's not, okay, there we go. 6 times 5 is 30, so minus 5. We want an x squared, we already have an x squared. We want a y cubed, we have a y squared, so we're going to just do a single y. And then 6 times 2 is our 12, so we're going to put a 2 there. We need an x squared, we already have an x squared on our outside, so we don't need an x. And then we need a y to the 4th, we have a y squared. We're going to make that y to the 4th. No, sorry. Y squared times y squared is y to the 4th. And that is our entire factorization of that one. One thing to check when you're done is anything in the parentheses, could we break any of that down? So we have a coefficient of 2 and we have a coefficient of 4, but 2 and 4 don't go into 5. So that's not that, we don't have anything else we could do with that. Our variables, we have an x, a y, and a y squared. So yes, y goes into y squared, but we don't have a common multiple for all three. And so we are good. That's as far as we could factor that one.